It's a people, it's a community, it's a life, it's a heart, it's a spirit.
The heck would you want a picture of a tattoo of $1,000 on your penis for?
The medications that have now come out really make HIV a manageable disease.
Like I said, in today's market, real estate alone has gone up 15%.
So sometimes there is no battle. Lately, if I don't get my musket dirty, that's great with me.
The cops were pushing her and egging her on to get her nuts. They were calling her names.
And then I find that the actors and actresses, for the most part, are like sponges. They soak up whatever you get back to them.
And he kept explaining to me that I wasn't gay, that you cannot be gay.
Religion and spirituality are big, big topics these days. I mean, the bookshelves, the bookstores are full of
incest, not funny. Midgets, not funny. Incestuous midgets.
Hello, this is Christine Callinger. Welcome to Talking About. I'm here today at the Queens County Farm Museum for the Classic Car Show. We will be taking a look at the classic cars that people have brought down today. It's a beautiful day, beautiful cars. Let's see what we can see today. I'm here in front of a 1939 Plymouth convertible. It's a 1939, so
V8 convertible.
Tell us a little bit about it, Pete.
Well, it's last year. I'm sorry, last year with a rumble seat. First year was three speeds on the column. First year with a power top. They didn't have power tops before that. And I just purchased it last year. Gentleman pulled in, parked. I drive a '64 Caddy. He parked 4 spaces from me, put a for sale sign on it, and 15 minutes later it was mine.
Is there any challenges in keeping a vehicle this old and keeping it in such beautiful condition?
The parts are pretty readily as long as you got the money. It's like a boat. It's like a hole in the water. But you just keep. It's a pleasure. Just enjoy all the hard work that goes into it.
Could you tell us a little bit about the interior of the vehicle?
It's got a leather interior. We just put a new carpeting by Phoenix. Jim Sabata at Phoenix just installed that, and actually he's building a new top for me. Got to custom make the top on Monday.
And do you have a radio in the
The
vehicle?
original radio probably works, but I have a AM/FM hidden in the glove compartment for the right sound.
I'm standing in front of a 1949 Packard, here with the owner, Frank Marshberger. Could you tell us about the vehicle, please?
Yes, it's a 1949 23rd Series Packard Deluxe 8 Club Sedan. And it's 3-speed standard transmission. And that's about it. Nothing, not too many options, So it runs very nice. And the 2 doors are hard to come by. The 4 doors are plentiful, but the 2 doors are hard to come by. It has original interior, and I suspect it's been repainted some way along the lines, but it's been done very nicely. So,
how long have you owned the vehicle?
A little over 2 years.
Do you find any challenges in owning such an old vehicle?
No, parts are plentiful. I have a supplier. Can I mention his name? Yeah, it's Max Merritt. I believe is in Indiana. He has new old stock and good used parts. But it runs very nice. It rides very, very nice. You can take it up to 55, 60. It rides like a rock. So I'm very happy with it. I always wanted one for a long time. So I finally got one.
How often do you take it out?
Usually on the weekends. During the week, it's kind of tough. But I like when the weather's nice. I like to take it out as much as possible. It's good to take them out for a ride as much as possible. They go bad if you just let them sit.
I'm here with William Sala in front of his 1964 Chevrolet. Okay, could you tell us a little bit more about it, please?
Well, it's an old retired race car. It's got a 427 cubic inch motor in it. It's got a 671 supercharger, 513 gears in the rear. Runs almost a 20-inch tire in the back across the thread. And it's running Plymouth axles, and is set up basically for the street right now. All I'm missing is windshield wipers, and that's about it.
Do you take it out a lot? Do you ride it quite often?
Yes, I do. It's a toy, but It's to be used. It's not to be, sitting up on a pedestal.
All right, could you point out any other features? You said something about the rear.
Well, the rear end of the car is only 42 inches across from the end of the hub to the end of the hub. And it's running 513 gears, where in a regular street car you'll be running anywhere from 223 to 300 gears. Has wheelie bars on it. It's basically, it's fast. It giddy-ups and goes. And it gets me home before my ice cream melts.
Is there any challenge driving this powerful vehicle?
Well, you wouldn't want to do anything ridiculous with it, like, nailing it or anything like that. And you can't take it out in the rain. It's never seen the rain because you have no traction. You'll just sit there and just spin. You'll sit on top of the water. It's a good weather car. Yeah.
How long have you owned this vehicle?
Oh, about 7 years now. I bought it as a turnkey and done a little refining on it over the 7 years. And the paint on the car is over 23 years old, as it is right now. And it needs a new paint job.
I'm here with Tom Murphy in front of his 1940 Chevrolet. Could you tell us a little bit about this vehicle?
All right. This 40 Chevy is a special deluxe model. Brand new, it was $802, which of course you're not going to get today. I've had this for about 18 years. I did everything from the front bumper to the back bumper and fixing it up. We have all original interior inside. The outside has a 216 engine. We have fog lights on it. These headlights that you see here are original headlights, which you can't get today. They're very hard to come by. The interior is all mohair, and it's in excellent shape. I also have inside 1939 and 1940 World's Fair memorabilia, which relates to the car. But I tried to get the original parts for it, not any substitutes. So I like it.
We're now looking at a 1931 Model A Ford. We finally got a Ford to look at. It's not a Model T. We'll have to see if there is a Model T here at the show today. But this is an idea of what the Model A Ford looked like. I'm in front of a 1937 Oldsmobile, and I'm here with the owner, Manfred. Could you tell us a little bit about the vehicle, Manfred?
Yeah, it's a 1937 Oldsmobile, 6-cylinder. It's a 2-door touring sedan. It has a little humpback trunk on it to give extra trunk room. They also made them without that trunk. It had a flat back. They made 37,000 of this model in 1937, and the original list price of the car was about $890. And this car is all original except for the paint and the tires. The interior hasn't been redone, and she'll still run 60 miles an hour. But back then the speed limit was 40, so she likes 40 a lot better than she likes 60.
Do you take the car out a lot?
I try to take it out every weekend to keep the fluids, circulating through the system and to keep the battery charged up. And it's a lot of fun. But they don't handle like the new cars, so they follow every rut in the road. So they got to hang on.
Now, are there any challenges when you have to work on the car as concerning parts, etc.?
The biggest challenge is finding the parts. If you have a Buick or a Cadillac, everybody's, stockpiling the parts. But an Oldsmobile was a low-priced car back then. And this is an oddball year. It was a one-year model. They changed it from 36 to 37, and they changed it from 37 to 38. So finding parts is really hard. The hubcaps took me 8 years to find. And, that's the challenge, is finding the parts. Working on it is easy. Finding the parts is hard.
I'm here with Mike in front of a 1973 Volkswagen Thing. Could you tell us how long you've had the vehicle and a little bit more about it?
This is my third one. I've had a Thing since '99, and I just love them.
I believe the Thing was based on an older Volkswagen model series chassis, the Kübelwagen, which was popular in World War II.
That's it. That's what this was designed after, the Kuba wagon.
Could you tell us where and how you get parts for the thing?
You got to look in the back of magazines like VW Trends, and you can find a lot of parts. You got to order them from California and Colorado.
Do you drive it all the time, or do you keep it?
Every day. Yep, this is my daily cruiser right here.
Okay. And how often do you work on the thing?
Whenever it needs work done to it.
Is it hard to maintain?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's easy.
Do you also have windows for the sides?
Yes, I got the side curtains. I just left them home today.
Okay. And I believe, do you get a lot of people looking at it when you drive?
Oh, yeah. A lot of people stop and say, what the hell is that thing? And I say, that's exactly what it is.
I'm here with Tony Dodonna in front of his 1935.
PJ Coupe.
Okay. Is it a Plymouth or?
Plymouth.
Plymouth. Okay. Could you talk about it?
Yeah, 6-cylinder flathead engine, 81 horsepower, give or take one because brake horsepower was 23. These cars were raced basically in Freeport. You don't see many of these in New York because they were all wrecked. These were in the non-Ford class, and because of the 6-cylinder engines, the Fords had 8 cylinders. And I have a driver here that used to drive these cars. When he saw this car, he was so excited, he wanted to give me his 1937 Cord. I have the car 3 years, and it wasn't really in this shape, but I trimmed it up in chrome headlights, etc. I enjoy it immensely, and I put a few little bullet holes and decorations. Everything on the car you see is original. It belongs on the car. It's not anything on the car that doesn't belong on the car. All the accessories, the lights, the bumpers. It's an original 35.
How often do you drive the car?
Very frequently. At
What
least
is
2 or 3 times a week.
Oh, great. And
If you don't use them, they just dry up and leak all over the place. This car doesn't leak.
beautiful. Is there anything else unique about the vehicle?
Has a rumble
It
seat.
does have a rumble seat.
I can demonstrate that for you if you like.
Okay, just a
1,
moment.
2, 3, and you're in. And then you plop down, and off you go to the races. So it's good for mother-in-laws. Definitely good for mother-in-laws. Okay. Keep them in the back. In the rain. When it rains.
Do you take the car out in the rain at all? Speaking of the rain.
Well, we took it out in rain and snow. So the car never sits. It's snow, rain, whatever.
So you really enjoy it and use it in all the time.
I have a wife, and I'd rather use this. It's more fun.
Thank you very much, Tony. Okay. Okay, we're going from a 1935 Plymouth to a 1932 Plymouth Roadster. Okay, I'm here with Al Vacciano. Could you tell us about your vehicle?
Well, there's about 600 of them made. They were originally made for universities, the odd colors. It's a 4-cylinder, and you can see it's got the rumble seat, the same as a 35. And it's a fun car, really, is what it is.
How often do you drive it?
Not enough. Not enough, because I'm away a lot. I've been in Florida for the winter. I should have took this down, but didn't. And I'll use it more now, but I use it quite often when I get a chance, you know. But like I said, it's a fun thing. Just good. It's an eye catcher.
Right, I was going to say, it's quite a sharp car.
Yeah, no matter where you go, somebody's always asking you something. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you do the work yourself, or how often do you have to work on it?
It's so far,
keep it
knock on this, doesn't need anything.
Great. And
It's been running fine. I laid it up all winter, and I got in it this morning. Didn't even clean it. Just started up and came here.
Wonderful.
And
How long do you have it?
I have it about 4 years. 4 years. And the guy who restored it before me really did a good job. He went over the whole car. There's nothing it needs. It's
And everything is original parts. And
everything is
lovingly
original.
restored, I think.
Right. It's all original. Everything is original on it.
I'm here with Michael Sussman.
Hello.
Hi. Could you tell us why you're here?
Why I'm here? Why am I here? Well, I'm running on 7 out of 8 cylinders. Our club puts this show on.
Which
every
club
year.
is it?
We are the Greater New York region. And the Greater New York region is, as the name implies, a region of the Antique Automobile Club of America, the AACA. We are about 60,000 members dedicated to the preservation of the antique car as a hobby. There'll be cars and trucks and vehicles. The preservation, historical value, keep them running. Well, we're car crazy, as a matter of fact. We put this show on. We put on another show at Old Westbury Gardens in June 2nd this year. And we encourage people to bring their antique cars out, keep them running, keep them moving. It's a car. They were transportation back then, and now they should not be valuable objects put away. They should be used and enjoyed for historical purposes, to promote the hobby, to further the hobby, to keep people mindful of how things were, and to have a good time. Promote camaraderie, friendship, family values, and all the other patriotic and hysterical things that people should do.
Okay. Could you comment perhaps about some highlights of the show? Perhaps I didn't get to certain vehicles. Is there I've seen some standout vehicles like this 1935 Plymouth here and the 32, but is there anything else we should look for?
The older, the better. Older cars don't drive as well as new cars. Older cars don't go as fast, don't stop as easily. They have Armstrong power steering, which means that there is no power steering. Some of these cars, you really have to muscle them to get them around turns, to parallel park. So the older the car, the more we applaud that owner for bringing his car out, because we know that it's harder to drive, harder to get to here, harder to stop, harder to keep up with modern highway speeds. Antique cars are geared lower. In 1935, when this car was brand new, we didn't have paved highways as you see it, and motoring was an adventure. If anybody has been on the Jackie Robinson Parkway, they know that the road has twists and turns. Well, what they don't know is that the road was designed that way. So people would take their car out as a Sunday drive, as a thing to do. And in an open car, an old open car, the twists and the turns were exhilarating. Don't forget, the cars didn't go much faster than 30, 35 miles an hour. Oh, 45 miles an hour was flying. Well, today, cars idle at 45 miles an hour, and we all know what modern highway speeds are all about. But when these cars were new, it was an adventure. Will we get there? Will the car break down? Will we get back? Problems abounded with early automotive technology. Cars have gotten significantly better. The expression, they don't build them like they used to, thank goodness, because cars back then were terrible. You'd get a blowout. The points would go out of whack. The gas was bad. The car would break down. Mechanical breakdowns were the order of the day. So when you see an old car here, that's what you should focus in on. By the time we graduated to the 1950s, cars have taken tremendous leaps forward. In the 80s and 90s, cars were light years ahead. Electronic ignition, no points, no distributor, tires were better. A standard production car in the 1990s could outcorner a Grand Prix car of the 1950s. That's how fast technology has come. And right now we're enjoying cars at their best. And now it's time to look back at some of the older cars here, whether it's these two Plymouths that we see, or that Chevy that we see over there, or that Buick that looks like it's been in the barn for a million years. It's what you should be focusing your attention on.
Right, I saw the Model A Ford on the other side.
The
over there.
Rattle A?
Rattle A?
That's what they were called back then because they would shake and rattle. But yes, even the Model A Ford, which caused quite a sensation when it was made. It was a very big thing. Big advancement in automotive technology, the Model A Ford. Let's talk about cars for a minute. This car, as you could see, has a rumble seat. On the inexpensive models, this would come down and open like a normal trunk would. But this has a rumble seat. And a rumble seat is an unprotected seat in the back. It opens up. Hold on, I'll close this one. And as you can see, it looks like a normal car. Had it been a regular roadster, the trunk handle would be down here. The rumble seat now affords you to take 2 additional passengers. Back in the 30s, the rumble seat, once she gets in, she may not get out. It was considered very risque to go on a date with a gentleman and sit in the rumble seat. The rumble seat is very close together, it's very tight, and there was usually a lap robe in the back to keep the passengers warm and comfortable. Well, anybody who let his daughter go out on a date with a guy with a roadster and have her sit in the back in the rumble seat is looking for trouble. That was the declining mores back in the 20s and 30s. But while we're talking and looking at this car, I want to explain how the term trunk came to be. If you have a rumble seat, where do you put your stuff? What happened was the spare tire was back here. But you couldn't have a spare tire back here and a trunk. So what they did was they made a steamer trunk. They mounted it on a rack, and then the spare tire had to go somewhere. After all, rubber tire technology was in its infancy, and blowouts were quite common. So, if we pan a moment and look at the fender of this vehicle, go back, we have a running board, which made it easy to get into the car. The spare tires were put into the front fenders. This was an option. You got side-mounted spare tires and a trunk, and that was considered a big option back in the 30s, back in the 20s. Otherwise, the spare tire went back here, and you had a standard trunk. Okay? So we discussed rumble seats, side-mounted tires, and how the word trunk got to be trunk. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Hey, no problem.
Yes. Okay, I'm here with Peter Mark.
Yes, and
You're sitting in a
1942 Dodge weapons carrier. And this was made for World War II, of course. And this particular vehicle was shipped to England as part of the Lend-Lease program and became available for sale in 1988, where I purchased it. And I
purchased it in England?
No, actually, a guy in Oyster Bay purchased it and brought it here, and then I bought it from him.
How often do you drive this vehicle? Do you use it in reenacting, or what do you do with it?
I participate in parades locally, and I also pleasure drive with it, and I do some useful things with it as well.
Because a lot of people purchase antique and military vehicles. A lot of the military vehicles are used in reenacting. So just wanted to ask you that.
Yes. I belong to a club, and the membership has reenactors as well, and it's very popular.
Do you face any challenges with this vehicle, getting parts and restoring it, etc.?
Yes, I do. But there are clubs that where members have accumulated a lot of the parts, and they become available for owners like myself. And coincidentally, I found one vendor here at this show who has parts for my engine here, and I'm just delighted.
So it's a Plymouth. It's a 1942 Plymouth.
Actually, it's a Dodge.
Oh, Dodge. Okay. I'm sorry about that. And what other challenges? What type of gasoline does this take?
This uses low-grade regular gas. Originally, it used leaded gas, which of course is no longer available, and I have to add the lead so as not to damage the engine. So I make it leaded with an additive.
Any other features you'd like to point out? What about this windshield here? Could you tell us why it folds down?
Well, this is a feature that I like very much because on warm days such as today, I can drive around and really enjoy the scenery. And I use this as a touring vehicle in that I drive and have the ability to look around and enjoy where I'm going. And the other thing I'd like to point out is the winch, which is that front-mounted chain thing you see. And with that device, I can pull things. And this was actually a work vehicle made for pulling and towing. So it's a feature that I sometimes use. And during the snow months, I always look forward to helping people who are stuck with it.
I'm here with Bob, and we're in front of a 1958 Plymouth two-door sedan. I believe it's the same type used in the movie Christine. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Okay, this car was originally bought in Connecticut. It stayed on a showroom floor of a dealership for many years on a turnstile. A friend of mine seen it. He bought the car. This car used to be brown. He painted it. This was around the time the movie came out. He painted it the colors of Christine. Christine was actually a two-door hardtop Belvedere. This is a two-door post. Okay, they only made 4,100 of these cars. And I've been working on it. It used to have a six-cylinder. I put a V8 in it with automatic and everything like that. And I did the interior. The interior scheme came from a McDonald's, believe it or not. Their boots are done that style. So.
Do you take it out a lot?
Yes, I do. I enjoy it. Yeah, you have to enjoy it because what's the sense of owning one? You know.
Well, that's about it for today. We hope you had as much fun as we did looking at the classic cars here at the Queens County Farm Museum. This is Christine Callinger saying goodbye for Talking About. In case you'd like more information, visit our website at www.talkingabout.info. Bye.